Mr. Chairman, dear friend Chairman Young had an amendment at the desk with me. He's not going to be able to make it before the committee concludes, so I'd like to bring it to the desk.
Clerk will read.
Amendment offered by Mr. Moran. After the last general provision, insert the following new section.
Without objection, the reading is dismissed.
Considered as having been read.
3 minutes.
3 minutes, Mr. Chairman? This is I know you would have given Bill, and actually, since Bill can't speak, it should really be 10, but I'll only take the 5 if the chairman is. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, this provision was included in this Ag Approps bill back in fiscal year 2006. Was an overwhelming bipartisan vote on the House floor. We've retained the language in the Ag bill for 6 straight years. In FY12, this committee voted to add the language to the bill. It got dropped in conference. Last year, this committee voted to add it again to this bill, and it got dropped in the continuing resolution. This year, the Department of Agriculture has asked us in its budget to please not require the Ag Department to inspect horse meat. And these are the reasons. And you can ask Secretary Vilsack, he feels very strongly about this. First of all, horses are not raised as food animals, Mr. Chairman, because they are routinely given substances, including the anti-inflammatory drug phenylbutazone, that are banned by the FDA from administration to animals that may be used for human consumption. These drugs are labeled not for use in animals used for food or that will be eaten by humans. So any use of those drugs should block the animal's use as food, and yet almost every horse that would be slaughtered for meat has been exposed to many of these prohibited drugs. Secondly, look what happened in the European Union following the discovery of horse meat and hamburgers. The sale of burger sales dropped by 43%. When the USDA in this country was asked, could that happen here? Their only reassurance was, in quotes, horses aren't slaughtered in the U.S. Now, this bill cuts the Food Safety Inspection Service by $31 million. Do we really want to cut the money for the Food Safety Inspection Service and then require them to inspect horse meat, to expand their responsibilities? They're doing all they can to inspect meat that is consumed by the Americans in this country. The fact is, Americans don't eat horse meat. So all of the product that they would be inspecting with U.S. taxpayers' dollars is for export to foreign countries. Why are we subsidizing those sales to foreign countries when we don't eat horse meat? And another point that we should bear in mind, 80% of Americans oppose horse slaughter for human consumption. And even in Oklahoma, my good friend Mr. Cole, I know you're aware of the fact that 2 out of 3 Oklahoma residents say they don't want slaughter plants in their state. 70% of New Mexico residents, and those are the 2 states that would undoubtedly open slaughter plants if we don't have this language in this bill. Now, people are going to say these are old and sick and unwanted horses. But the fact is that the U.S. Department of Agriculture shows that 92% of all the horses sent to slaughter are in fact in good condition. Just like with other animals, the sick and the old horses are not as valued as a food source and are not bought by kill buyers. Properly euthanizing a horse is not cost prohibitive. That's what the vast majority of Americans choose to do with their horses at the end of their lives. I could go on about the emotional content of this issue, that horses hold a special place in history. I'm not going to mention it. I do think that we ought to put this language in, be consistent with the past, and I'm sorry that Mr. Young is not here to speak on behalf of the amendment. I know he wanted to. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is there further discussion?